a secret how much free quality information Wager Talk, Sports Moment, and the Gold Sheet produce. And next up, we're giving out the Wager Talk College Basketball Guide. This might be the most informative collection of sports betting info we've ever produced. We're covering returning starters, offensive, defensive, and tempo rankings, recruiting rankings, head coaching info and background, and so much more. Even if you are the casual basketball fan, head over to the Ralph Michaels page and download this amazing guide for free.
And we are off, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into this Monday edition. It is December the 28th. Just a couple more days left here in the year 2020. We are excited. It's been a hell of a college basketball season thus far. It's been extremely profitable for many of you guys here that have followed us along for the show, and we plan on making 2021 even more profitable. And we got some games to get to today, specifically 2 games in the Big Ten that we're going to look forward to breaking down for you here. Michigan State taking on Minnesota. Also, Maryland taking on Wisconsin today, followed by a little Pac-12 action, Colorado at Arizona, and Battle of Illinois here. Illinois State taking on Loyola Chicago. 4 games we are going to break down, plus a Gold Sheet play of the day for you. Let me welcome in the panel here, and what a good-looking crew we got for you today, guys. To my left, my neighbor who just woke up, Mr. Tony Finn. Thank you, Tony, for blessing us with your appearance here today. My neighbor below me, of course, Mr. Ralph Michaels back. And then, of course, the man in the opposite corner, Mr. Dave Koken. Exciting times here, guys, as we wrap up 2020. I do want to go ahead and post, obviously, how you can get in touch with these guys on Twitter, because they're always, always posting great, valuable information that you guys can use. It's all about finding the edge. And, of course, it's all about being better handicappers, and nobody does it better than these 3 gentlemen. Mark those addresses down. Make sure you are following them on Twitter. And let's get them in here and see how their weekend was. I will start, Mr. Koken. I know you got a 5% bowl play up. It's $9 Monday here at Wager Talk. You got a college hoops game coming up. But talk to me about your weekend, and how was your holiday?
The holiday was great. Mixed bag on the weekend as far as the selections go. And just a quick note, I'm a good follow on Twitter if you like laughs. I don't post a lot of valuable information on there. I don't want to mislead anybody. Occasionally there'll be something pertaining to sports betting or gambling, but a lot of my stuff is nonsense. So, but that's probably why I think I'm a decent follow.
That is not true. Some of the best dog videos, guys, I have seen. When I tell you, when it is a crap day, you want to put a smile. You want to be able to break up the monotony. Dave is absolutely your father. Those are some of the best videos I've seen. I don't know where you find them, Dave, but they're fantastic. I
steal a lot of them from Rex Chapman.
Yes. Also great, too. Very, very good stuff there. And you have, I know you got a 5% play not only on a bowl game, you do have a college basketball play up today, both $9. Is that correct?
No. The bowl play is not $9.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
That's staying at the regular price. It wouldn't be fair to, first of all, it wouldn't be fair to the people who bought it already for $40 to suddenly charge $9. So that's regular price in the bowl play, which I definitely think is worthwhile. My 5% record is absurdly good.
Yes.
The 4% play, though, I have a best bet in college basketball tonight. That is $9, and I think it's an easy winner.
Love it.
We'll find out later on today.
Yep, $9 Monday. Take advantage of it. And, of course, Ralph Michaels, welcome back. Happy holidays to you, my friend. How was your weekend? How was your holiday, man?
Holiday was good. The weekend finished on a very poor note. I had one of those Sundays that you want to just get rid of, going 1-4. So they're going to happen. It was a losing day. Lost to 5% in the NFL, but that's what sets us apart. You hear about the winners, you hear about the losers, and you have to be able to withstand those losing days. Key is to have more winning days than losing, and that has happened. So I am actually passing today in college basketball. Nothing made my card. Not looking to just try to get daily sales. If plays aren't worth betting for me, I'm not going to release them to sell. That's exactly what happened today. I do have a bowl game which goes tomorrow. That is only $9. It's available today.
There you go. And Mr. Tony Finn, welcome. Hopefully he can mime his way through the show here. And Tony, again, thanks for stopping by, my friend. It's been a week since we last saw you here. How was your holiday and how was your weekend, man?
Holiday's good. A full house here at the Finn Hacienda. My daughters are in from. We didn't do our typical meet at the homestead where everybody's from because of circumstances. Obviously, we decided not to travel and inflict any of our deficiencies upon the family. So we're hoping everything works out fine. But the daughter showed up great. Holiday's been good. I got exactly what I wanted for Christmas. Nothing.
Great.
Which is always perfect for me. I'd rather give than receive. And that's why I'm here for you guys right now.
That's great. How about mixing an alarm clock next Christmas? That would be great, Tony. What do you got up on Wager Talk today here? What do you got going on today? Anything, Tom?
Yes, I do. I have two college hoop affairs, hopefully winners. I like them both. And you can get them both. They're packaged together for $9. You can get both of my college basketball tonight for $9. I do have, and on you asked about the weekend. The weekend was okay. I think I went 2-0 in college, and the NBA was pretty good too. It was, I think, 5-1. So far so good.
All right, good stuff. And speaking of the weekends,
Joe?
Yes, go ahead, Ralph.
Dave sort of, Dave said something and he sort of just glazed over it. Yeah. As Tony was talking, I went to look up Dave's record. Talking about being good at 5 stars, he's 14-2 his last 16 5% plays. Mm-hmm. He's 11-1 his last 12 college football 5% plays. So if there is a 5% play in college football you need to get, it is Dave's.
Yes, absolutely. Without a doubt, those of you that have been following him all throughout the college season over the last 18 months, you guys know exactly what's happening with Dave. Certainly worth following on Twitter, despite what he says there. Definitely a good follow, as well as making sure you get to WagerTalk.com. Check out Dave Koken's page. Let's check out.
I will say this.
Go ahead.
I am amazing at times with my reverse jinxes. I had the Steelers yesterday, and I mean, I've got no shot in this game. They get stopped on downs at the 1-yard line on a 1st and goal at the 1, and they can't score. They're down 24-7. It's like this is ridiculous. And of course, then they score 21 in a row and win the game. I don't delete those stupid tweets. They're still up there, so feel free to comment away. Boy, was I glad to get that one in the win column.
It is the gift that keeps giving, guys. Make sure you follow, especially Mr. Finn, Mr. Koken, Mr. Michaels. Make sure you follow them all on Twitter. Now, you mentioned the weekend, guys. Let's take a quick look back here at some of the top performances from the weekend, which, of course, included another dominant performance by the Zags there, continue to roll through. And we had a couple of players that kind of stood out among everyone else here, Ralph, including a little Robert Morris, Fort Wayne, Eastern Michigan, Olivet, Green Bay, Wright State. I think they played 2 games this weekend. Talk to me about some of these performances.
Well, these are yesterday's performances, so not from the weekend. So we keep you apprised of the Sundays. So, it's interesting still. We continue to learn with these back-to-backs on how teams do. We're going to talk about, one of my best bets today in that same situation. So it's interesting to see how a player and how a team performs. So when that player goes off one night, I always love to see how that team defends that player the next night.
Absolutely. And some of the covers, in fact, some of the big covers there from yesterday. Let's take a look at them here. Missouri State, Northern Iowa, Caroline. That looks to be, that looks to be pretty familiar there, doesn't it, here across the board on both of those, Ralph? Missouri State, Northern Iowa is today, I believe, is it not? As is Cal Verde. These are all back-to-backs, I believe, we got happening here today.
They are a lot of back-to-backs.
Yep.
I snuck a peek at Dave's best bet. My best bet, we'll both be talking about one of those back-to-back games, as well as Loyola and Illinois State today as well.
Yep, and let's talk about some of the overs, some of the unders from yesterday's card here in college basketball. And there were some interesting overs and unders that were delivered for us. Providence DePaul getting into swing of things, continuing to hit overs, 41 and a half. In fact, the Wright State, Wisconsin, Green Bay, also a pretty good over there by 26 and a half. And Stony Brook and UMass Lowell, which I think is already, as of right now, guys, I think that game is underway. That was game one yesterday, right, Dave? So that was that was an under by 12 and a half, Dave. Ralph, anything stick out to you in this one?
Just one note, by the way, that DePaul
Sure.
Providence game, that was double overtime. So that sent that game way over the total.
Yep. Yes. Good point. And Ralph, what about some of these Monmouth and Canisius and Southern Illinois, Evansville, which also goes back to back here today? Any big surprises to you on this?
Well, if you look at the biggest overs and there's some big numbers and you compare them to the biggest unders and there's very few, they're very close. I think the holidays has a lot to do with it. You know, you're coming off Christmas, you're spending time with family, you're having family meals. I think the defensive intensity is always less during this holiday weekend where they tend to be more overs than unders.
All right, well, let's take a look at some of these cards. 4 games on tap here today, guys. We're going to break down for you here, give you our opinion, some of our best bets, plus the gold sheet play of the day. And I think we'll start with Michigan State, Minnesota. There's no better place really to start here. And the Spartans, I don't know, do you consider them a desperate team at this point? They are a favorite in this one here. I've seen it as high as 3. Since it opened up there from yesterday, taking on Minnesota here. And Dave, I'll start with you. Consecutive losses to Wisconsin and Northwestern, nothing to be ashamed about here. Well, the Golden Gophers coming off a pretty impressive win there against Purdue. How do you see Michigan State right now in this game?
Well, look, Sparty they need a win. They don't want to start 0-3 in the Big Ten after losing pretty decidedly to Northwestern and then letting the lead get away against Wisconsin. They were up in that game, I believe it was 51-42, something like that, 63-54. I can't remember the exact score, but they got blown out down the stretch. They played no defense in that game, and you got to think that that's got Izzo a little bit irritated. Minnesota's coming off a crazy win, and there's outliers in this game. If you believe in that stuff, you probably be looking to go against Minnesota tonight. They were down and seemingly out of the Iowa game, but the Hawkeyes missed some free throws, and Minnesota just went nuts on 3-point shots. In particular, Brandon Johnson, the Western Michigan transfer, he had 2 3-pointers on the season going into the game on Saturday. He was 8 for 9 from long distance, including a bunch late in the game for the Golden Gophers. So that's a really good win for Minnesota, and it's the type of win that I think you'll often see teams bounce from, come back in regulation, win it in overtime. I didn't put Michigan State on my card, but I definitely thought about it. Let's put it that way.
All right, and Tony, I'll ask you, Minnesota has allowed 80-plus points in 4 of their last 5. This might be a great spot for Michigan State to put it all together. How do you see it happening?
Well, I think Michigan State, in truth, I think most of the Big Ten, even Iowa, has been a little bit overvalued coming into the season. It's a difficult season to evaluate, especially this early. Wisconsin has played well. They're speaking very highly of that 3-point shooting team. In this case, listen, Minnesota showed that they can play. They're a versatile team, and I like Pitino's club here. Without question, this is a team that's going to be difficult to match up against. They played, for instance, they beat a St. Louis team, which I think is a really good A-10 team, and they beat them decisively as well at home. They took on an Iowa team that can score, and if you think like my group of guys think that if you can stop one guy on an opposing team or stop the other 4 and let the one guy who's going to be your top scorer put the points up, then Minnesota might be that team. As Dave mentioned, they shot really well. They got into overtime in that game where they beat Iowa. Fortunately, due to missed free throws, he couldn't be more correct. It was due to missed free throws and execution by Minnesota. In this game, this is a completely different game than an Iowa game. This this Michigan State team. It is. It's just the Michigan State's not going to score like Iowa does, and they're going to do other things a little better. They have not. The depth's been their strength, their supposed strength of this season, and they've performed very poorly in the last two games. To be completely honest with you, I think both of those losses were nothing of obviously to be ashamed of, but something you surely can't be proud of, and difficult for me to back Michigan State in this contest, being away from home, even though it's a season where there's not a ton of fans in the stands.
You know, Ralph, an interesting number from the total perspective opened up at 159, 159 and a half. I'm seeing 152s on the board. Certainly some defensive issues on Minnesota's side here. How do you see this shaping up?
Well, I think Michigan State should be embarrassed losing to Northwestern like they did on the road. But, you know, there's something wrong with Michigan State, and it's just they don't have go-to scorers. You really don't. Hauser's probably your top scorer. He's not a guy that you can count on to score. They're not playing the shutdown defense that they can. I mean, they're in the 60s in Ken Palm efficiency. So, you know, when you don't have a go-to scorer and you don't have that elite defense, you get into situations like you are. Can they keep up with Minnesota's offense? I don't know. Minnesota has a very good offense, and they have multiple scorers. You know, Robbins and Carr's as good as they come in the Big Ten. But I'm going to go back to what Dave said. Even though Michigan State has problems, even though I think they're not the elite team, they're probably not my top 3 or 4 in the Big Ten. When you have Michigan State off a home loss, you know Izzo is riled. You know that team is going to prepare for their next game. And then on the flip side, let's remember, Pitino loves this Minnesota team. We know they have offense. We know that they're now 8-1. We know they just beat Iowa. They're off one of the biggest wins they've had. But this is only their second road game. What happened in their first road game? Well, that offense scored 65 points and lost to Illinois 92-65. So only one way to go situationally. Michigan State off a home loss, Minnesota off their biggest win at home in a long time, and only playing their second true road game of the year.
But this is a Minnesota home game, Ralph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my apologies.
That's all right.
Boy, yeah, thank you, Dave. Yeah, again, the thought is still there that Michigan State off the home loss, I think, is going to have an issue. And I looked up the game ahead, so my apologies on that. But it's a game I stayed away from because I don't think Michigan State can keep up with Minnesota's offense.
Yep. Interesting enough, too. Certainly those betting on the total 7-point swing there from the open to where we sit right now, going to be very interesting. Also very interesting, if you head over to WagerTalk.com right now, it is $9 Monday. You will have the opportunity to grab any of the college basketball plays from any of these gentlemen at WagerTalk.com right now for just $9. Make sure you visit WagerTalk.com. And Dave, let's keep it in the Big Ten if we can. How about Wisconsin taking on Maryland? Wisconsin coming into this matchup after a fairly comfortable win against Michigan State, and Maryland, they're coming into this. It was a close game against Purdue, but they were able to get it done here. A lot of folks feel this might be a little bit too high. It opened up at 10. I'm seeing 9.5 right now. How do you match up Maryland against Wisconsin in this game?
Well, it is high. You're going to have to pay a premium of sorts to play Wisconsin right now. I mean, they're sky high in the Ken Palm ratings and all the other polls as well. I mean, they had the loss to Marquette by a couple of points, and that's it. And their wins have been convincing. I'm just forget the bad teams they played. They beat the living daylights out of Louisville. Nebraska was no problem. Nebraska's not that hot. And I thought they showed a lot against Michigan State with the way they played down the stretch in that game. Maryland, there's nothing wrong with their losses. You know, the quality losses in terms of who they lost to. Clemson's a solid team. Rutgers is a solid team. And they battled back nicely against Purdue after getting really blown out in that game early. I mean, I think it was like 30-15 or something like that early in the game. So they hung in there. Maryland's got to look. This is going to The good news for Maryland is they will get to play their preferred tempo tonight. This is not a team that wants to move up and down the court. And Wisconsin obviously likes that style as well. So you're looking at a slow-paced game here. And that, to me, gives the underdog a chance to hang around if they can make a few baskets. And, they're scoring on the inside. They're doing a great job in the paint. If they can get a little production from outside, they've got a chance to be in this basketball game. I just don't like going against Wisconsin at home, so I stayed out of the game. But push comes to shove, I take Maryland plus the points, considering what I expect to be the pace in this game.
It's certainly Wisconsin is proving to be in a loaded Big Ten, Dave. They are formidable. They're deep. They can shoot. They play a little bit of defense there. It is tough to fall behind, especially early, but that's exactly what Maryland seems to do in each and every game. It takes them a half to get going. How do you see them matching up here tonight?
Who are you asking?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Tony Finn. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Dave.
Well, you didn't see my name, so I wasn't about to butt in. How do I see them matching up? I think this is a pretty good spot for Maryland, considering how they looked really outmanned, looked outgunned in their first two Power 5 contests where they lost to Rutgers and Clemson, I believe. Not that Rutgers isn't a good team. I think they're a good team. I think they're a capable team. This is Big Ten conference play. For the most part, you're going to see games that are hard fought, closely contested contests. 10 points. Listen, you're getting a benefit. You're getting a little bit of a gift, I think, with Maryland here. Granted, Turgeon has a reputation of not having his teams prepared when they're on the road. He gets dogged for this time and time again, but he has a really athletic group, and they match up really good man-to-man for Wisconsin. I'll take, if I was on this game, if I was in this room, and I'm not, I would be on the underdog getting 10 points here.
Yeah, it's Ralph. It's a big number, man. But, Maryland does have that way. They were down 14, I believe, when they went into the locker room against Purdue. Tough team to come back from here if you're going to fall behind early on in this game against Wisconsin.
Well, I mean, both teams came from behind. Wisconsin, as Dave said earlier, was down 9 at Michigan State. They won the game. Maryland was down 15 and ended up losing by 3. So they showed the ability to come back. It is their back-to-back road trip. We'll see how they handle that this early in the year. It's going to be, the first time most teams are on back-to-back road trips. So Turgeon talked about how well they played interior defense. They just didn't play as well on the outside. In this game, I see both teams' tempos in the 300s, and I actually like under in the first half. Because I think Maryland will play their pace. I think Wisconsin will play their pace. At halftime, if they're down a substantial amount, I think then they have to quicken the pace and then they play a different style. But I expect the game, a low-scoring game, in the low 30s for the first half, and would actually go under first half in this game.
Yeah, opened up 135. I'm seeing 132 and a half out in the marketplace for the total here, guys. Going to be a loaded card tonight here in the Big Ten, that is for sure. Let's take a look at the Pac-12. And, Dave, I'll start with you. Colorado taking on Arizona here. Two teams that high expectations, shall we say, maybe living above expectations, that being this Colorado team. They enter with a 6-1 overall record, but really no quality wins here on the card. It's only 1.5. I'm seeing 2 in some places. How do you have Colorado matching up against Arizona?
Colorado's looked really good so far. Look, they've got a star in McKinley Wright, who's a terrific player. Evan Batty's solid guy, big body. They're a good-looking team, but they've been a good-looking team before, and then it gets away from them for some reason. If you go back to last season, Colorado started off the season 12-2, and that included a win over Oregon, very impressive win. And boy, it looks like they're going to be a really strong team. And then came the end of the season, and it was a train wreck. Lose to UCLA, lose to California, lose to Stanford, lose to Utah, get knocked out in the first round of the Pac-12 tournament by Washington State. And I don't know. I have a feeling the same thing might happen to them. They look really good right now, but they're not a team that's handled adversity well in the past under Tad Boyle, and I wonder if that's going to be the case again here. Arizona, they're 6-1. They haven't played anybody. Their one decent opponent was Stanford. They lost that game. It was kind of a semi-road game. And I don't know. I really don't know where Arizona is right now. I do know this. Colorado's never won on this court. And I'm not going to back them to win here. I think right now Colorado's probably playing better basketball, but too much for me to ask the Buffaloes to go into a place, and I don't care if there's fans there or not. They just don't win here. So I guess I call it a guess because it's definitely not a play for me. But I'll guess that Arizona finds a way to pull this one out. Close. It might be the best game of the night.
It's going to be a lot of fun there. Tony Finn, let me ask you here. It's a short number. Are you leaning one way or the other in this?
Well, to be transparent, I actually cashed with Colorado when they were playing Washington, and they won. It didn't start real well, but they won convincingly, in my opinion. And I got a push in their last game against Grand Canyon. They were laying 10, and I thought this was a good spot for Colorado since they've played altitude anyway. And obviously Dan Marley no longer with Grand Canyon, but he has a good replacement coach there. And this is a basketball team or a basketball program that has a history of being competitive. Here's the deal. You got a lot of problems. You have some issues here that are just not basketball related or court related. If you know Tad Boyle, like I know Tad Boyle, and his connections with Kansas, with Roy and with Bill Self, et cetera, Tad Boyle doesn't like Sean Miller. In fact, has called him out on several occasions publicly for some of the transgressions that supposedly the Wildcats have been a part of. And so it becomes one of those, it's going to be a fuel game. And I agree with Dave, this could be the best game, could be the funnest game to watch tonight. I'm not in the room, but if I was going to play a team here, I probably would be, as Dave suggested, on the home team in Arizona, simply because Colorado, they have struggled with adversity on the road, especially, and if they get behind Arizona, they may not be able to mount the comebacks they did against Washington and Grand Canyon.
I don't know what he's upset about. Everyone knows Sean Miller in Arizona pay more. Ralph, let me ask you, in this shot, I know you are always a big fan, especially early on in the season, point guard play, and those teams that have some quality ones and those don't. You got two of the best going at it here tonight in this matchup. How do you see it working out?
Oh, yeah, I give the edge to McKinley Wright, but, the backcourt is Arizona. It's funny, I have that same note down that this Colorado team is 0-8 in the McHale Center, and people may not think that's a big deal, but trust me, as a Browns fan, I'm just going to turn this into the NFL. When the Browns go into Pittsburgh, they just fall apart. There is something psychological about beating a team. And, while Colorado has looked decent, their strength of schedule, the only top 100 team they played was Tennessee. We know Tennessee is a quality program, and they lost 56-47. Now, I will say this, that Sean Miller came out strong. And, he has a 7'1" center in Christian Kokula, and he took him out, and he put Tubelis. It's like Azulis Tubelis, a freshman in. And he talked about how the team has played so much better under him the last couple of days. So he went to the offense. I think they're going to be more offensive-minded. So clearly, I think Arizona has that edge. But it comes down to free throw shooting for me. Colorado, number 1 in the country, 86% free throw shooting. Arizona, the last 2 games, 54%, 31 of 59. They missed 28 free throws. You start going hack a wild hack, and I think Colorado can do it. If Colorado is actually power rated higher in my power ratings, but because they haven't won at McHale, it's not a play for me. But I will give them the opinion. I think they start fouling early against this Arizona team, and I think they can pull the upset. Very small upset as it is.
It's going to be a hell of a night for sure there. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch that unfold. One final game here tonight, guys, we'll take a look at, and I will start with Dave because Dave he has followed this trend of these back-to-backs, and we've got another one here tonight. Illinois State taking on Loyola Chicago. A drubbing last night by 30 points there, Dave, by Illinois State. Can they bounce back? Do they have enough to bounce back? The number, I'm seeing 18s now, some 18 and a halves. How do you have it working out here between Illinois State and Loyola?
Well, two answers. Can Illinois State bounce back? The answer is no, because they suck. They're a bad team. They're the two bottom teams in the Mo Valley are Illinois State and Evansville, and I think it's by a pretty good margin. But Loyola just beat the living daylights out of them, and I would have a difficult time laying the points here with Loyola coming off a 30-point win where it was, this game was no contest from the word go. They were up by 36 midway through the second half, and it's going to be really tough for Loyola to take this game seriously. They basically just have to show up, and they're going to win the game. They've got two really big games coming up on the weekend with Bradley. Those are big games in the Missouri Valley Conference because you're talking about a Bradley team that certainly is one of the dark horses in the conference. Loyola, I think Loyola is probably the favorite in the league. It's just a spot where, to me, you can't lay the points. Even though Loyola can win this by as many as they want, after having such an easy time yesterday, I just don't see them being particularly energized for this game. They'll do enough to win, certainly, and I don't think it'll be a contest. But if I were going to make any bet in this game, it might be Illinois State in the first half. They got humiliated yesterday, and I'm sure they want to go out and show something in this game. So maybe they can hang around for 10 or 15 minutes. That might be enough to get you a cover in the first half.
Dave's got a point, Ralph. Let me ask you, college teams aren't accustomed to the whole back-to-back. Going to be very hard for this team to be as efficient as they were last night. What they shoot, 59, almost 60% from the field, almost 47% from behind the arc. So how do you, when you look at a game like this in this particular situation at a back-to-back, how do you approach it? Ralph, did I lose him? Oh. Ralph, you muted us, Ralph. You muted us. So I'm going to ask you the same question there.
I'm back.
Guys. Okay,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Mute me. I know. I had to cough, so excuse me. I did the mute to cough. Loyola shot 71% from 2-point, and Illinois State shot 42%. When I looked at the Illinois box score, it kept going and going and going and going. They played 16 players yesterday. Nobody played more than 20 minutes. So, you talk about a team that was just joking around. They joked around yesterday. And, the reason I can't back Illinois State at all is Illinois State is an up-tempo team. You would think you're going to get value with Loyola. You would think you'd want to fade Loyola laying 17 with as slow tempo as they played. But if Illinois State's going to play their normal game and be a top 50 tempo team and keep coming up and shooting shots, Loyola's got nothing to do but get those rebounds and come down and score. So it's not a game. I put this game on the list just because it was a TV game today. And when I started looking at it more and more and looking at the box score, if Loyola comes out and plays any intensity at all in the first half, I think they get the blowout again. I've never seen a game where they played 16 players and nobody played over 20 minutes.
Yeah, they were asking guys at the concession stand to come in and play for them. Tony, let me ask you a question here. The number, 138 right now for a total. These two teams put up 150 points yesterday, so that's a significant drop, but warranted in your eyes.
Well, yeah, I think if they're going to play like they did yesterday, and Loyola is going to play that number of players, Dave mentioned this is a game where it's a play around game. To be honest with you, Illinois State's going to shoot. They're going to play at tempo, as Ralph said. Chicago is more talented. They are the best team probably in the Mo Valley. Here's the deal: what Dave mentioned though about them maybe not having the two big games this weekend against Bradley or coming up against Bradley is important because the Mo Valley is they've been bludgeoned. They've lost some of their top programs over the last half decade, and if you look at this conference top to bottom, it's not that good. It's just not that good. So I think it's important for Loyola Chicago to be well rested, and if they're going to play 16 players, they probably are going to be well rested. So I would probably be, if I'm on this game, it's hard to back Illinois State, but I could back the over.
All right, there you go. Tony Finn, WagerTalk.com. And a reminder here, guys, that it is $9 Monday. If you just joined us, just tuned in, $9 all plays, $9 college basketball right now. If you head there, we told you Dave Kokins, he's got to play up tonight. Ralph, Tony Finn, visit their pages, guys, right now, $9 today, $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. Now, we do have a Gold Sheet play of the day. Our friends at the Gold Sheet have a game that is posted. So, Ralph, let's check it out here. What is our Gold Sheet play of the day?
Well, it's Cal State Northridge. Northridge playing a New Mexico State team that's had a lot of COVID issues. So they do have Cal State Northridge. And as I do every day after the show, I will post the play of the day on my Twitter at CalSportsLV. You could see the entire new Gold Sheet format and read the write-up at your convenience.
Good stuff. Love what's coming out of Gold Sheet. So glad to be partnered with them. Make sure you guys check it out. Also, a great reason for you to go ahead and make sure that you're following Ralph on Twitter at CalSportsLV. All right, guys, it's time for our best bets. Let's go around the horn. I do want to remind you quickly, though, Mr. Dave Koken, 5% best bet, college football. It's available right now. What can we say about his reg? The 5% record, guys, in football speaks for itself. College football, just been pure dominance. He loves this play. That's why he's got it as a 5% play. Make sure you get over there, check it out, get it before the number moves too much. And Dave, talk to us about your play of the day right now. Where are you looking tonight on the card?
I played 2 games in college hoops tonight. One of them is a game that I forecasted as a blowout, and that's the $9 play at WagerTalk. The other one, I just put it up as an all-access best bet, so it's not individually for sale, and the reason for that is I knew I was going to talk about it here on the show. It's the rematch of yesterday's matchup between UC Santa Barbara and UC Irvine. These are projected going in the 2 best teams in the Big West. I think UC Riverside is showing some indications they might be in that conversation. Irvine has gotten it together the last 2 games after a slow start. They're still a very young team with a very young backcourt, so we'll see how they respond to playing very well yesterday and catching Santa Barbara on a really bad shooting game. The Gauchos, they're not a great shooting team, but they're above average. But yesterday, 3 for 25 from beyond the arc. This becomes a really big game for Santa Barbara. You don't want to lose 2 to Irvine, and these are the only 2 meetings they have this year. So effectively, a loss by Santa Barbara here, and they're really in trouble immediately as far as getting the Big West titles concerned, because they're clearly going to have the tiebreaker disadvantage if they end up tied with Irvine at the end of the year. I think it's a really big game for them. The betting market seems to agree. Irvine opened as a 2-point favorite in the game. I did take them. I did take Santa Barbara as a dog. They are now the favorite by 1 in the game. But, the line's not a real big deal there because there's no ties in college basketball. So I think Santa Barbara will bounce back from yesterday's game. I think it's going to be close, but I like the Gauchos to get the win tonight or this afternoon, actually, in this rematch with Irvine. So UC Santa Barbara is my play of the day here.
Love it. Love it. Going to be a great matchup. Going to be a test for both squads for sure. And Tony Finn, let's turn to you. Where are you looking out on card here tonight?
Quickly, Fresno State visiting Colorado State. Colorado State has played 4 games so far this year. Not that they've played anybody. They did play St. Mary's and believe the final score in that game was 53-33, lose by 20. But they face a Fresno team that's only played 2 games so far, and both were against Division II opponents, William Jessup and Fresno Pacific, and they won. They won against William Jessup by about 40, I believe, and then the game was a little closer, 10, 15-point game against Fresno Pacific. But this is their first true road game. They're going against a Colorado State team that has a little more Division I action under their belt, and they're going to be playing at altitude. And this is, like many of the games you guys have already discussed, it's the first of 2 of back-to-backs. The Mountain West is playing that schedule as well, where they're going to play 2 games to reduce some of the travel. So it may not be, if Colorado State plays the way I think they'll play tonight and make Fresno gasp for some air late in this game, you might see this as a good spot also the next time they play, which will be their next game the both of them way back to back. So tonight, I say Colorado State. It's a big number, -10, but well worth it.
There you go. All right, make sure you're following, guys. Tony Finn, head over to his Wager Talk page. $9 Monday today. Plays just $9. Take advantage of the opportunity. And Ralph, where are you going tonight, my friend?
I am duplicating Dave. I think these back-to-back games, I think, coming out of this COVID, I'm sure a lot of conferences are going to keep this the next couple of years. Look how much money they're saving to not have to travel back and forth and play these 2 straight days and, having everyone there. So I think this is something that will be with us moving forward. Again, at least in the smaller conferences. I actually, I talked about having a bad Sunday. I had one college basketball play, and it was this UC Santa Barbara game against Irvine. Obviously, I lost, and, most times you shoot 3 of 25 from three-point land, you're going to lose that game. So, I have UC Santa Barbara as the best team. I have Irvine as the second best team, but there's a big difference in experience. UC Santa Barbara comes back with 4 starters off a team that won 20-plus games for 3 straight years under Pasternak. And UC Irvine is the second youngest team in college basketball besides Navy. They have 13 underclassmen and 2 upperclassmen. Yes, the upperclassman is Colin Welp, and he's probably the best player in the conference or close to it. So that makes them much more affordable. But I think Santa Barbara bounces back. I think this is basically a must-win for them. You look at the top 2 teams, in the Big West, you are probably only going to have 3 or 4 losses on the season, maybe 5. And if Barbara comes down 0-2 in this, I expect this veteran team to bounce back as well. And I like Santa Barbara tonight.
Awesome stuff. And I'll just throw it out there, guys. The Missouri State Northern Iowa game's perplexing to me, especially when the line opened up. I saw Northern Iowa laying 6.5. It is now down to 3.5, even 4 in some shops here. They haven't played a game, Northern Iowa, in 3 weeks. And they
played yesterday.
Right. Well, yesterday. But it's, to me, I think there's still going to be, especially on this issue of the back-to-back type of situation there. I like the Missouri State Bears in this one in the first half. I like them to be able to come out there. It's almost, 1.5 now, 2 in the first half there. I think Missouri State has an opportunity to be able to, if not pull out the upset here on the money line, but certainly keep it close enough. I think it's going to be a kind of a final possession game when it comes down to it. So I'm looking at Missouri State taking the points here, not only in the first half, but in the full game. Want to remind you guys.
Go ahead. Jump in on that.
Sure.
I wish I had played Missouri State yesterday because I had to lean that way, and I don't know why I didn't pull the trigger. But Northern Iowa has not yet been able to solve the absence of A.J. Green, he was the best player on the team, and they
maybe
really
the conference last year.
Yeah, the guy he does everything. Rebounds, shoots the ball really well. He's out for the season, and they have not looked good since he went out. They hung around against Richmond. They were never in yesterday's game against Missouri State. They made it a little interesting early in the second half and then just got wiped out down the stretch. And Missouri State right now, I don't know how long it's going to continue, but they are just shooting the living daylights out of the ball. They're a hot basketball team. I can't disagree with you, Joe. I think Missouri State's going to get the sweep there.
Yep. A little odd, a little strange, and certainly the market is moving towards Missouri State, but you guys should be moving towards WagerTalk.com. Here's the recap again. If you're just joining us and missed it, you've got Dave Koken and Ralph Michaels. You got a twofer here. UC Santa Barbara in the matchup here tonight. Tony Finn looking at Colorado State laying the 10. I'm looking at Missouri State in this one, and the gold sheet likes Cal State Northridge. You guys are going to love $9 Monday at Wager Talk. Take advantage right now. Go get the plays from these guys. Just $9 at WagerTalk.com. And don't forget, you got Dave Koken's 5% bowl game up and ready to rock and roll. They don't come often, but when they do, they cash. Go get it right now at WagerTalk.com. So, Tony Finn, thank you very much for being conscious and stopping by, hanging out with us here today. Mr. Dave Koken, Mr. Ralph Michaels. Guys, best of luck with your plays tonight. Make sure you hit that little bell in the upper right-hand corner. Come back. Join again tomorrow. We'll get you ready for another day of college hoops. Best of luck with your plays, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
It's not a secret how much free quality information WagerTalk, Sportsmoma, and the Gold Sheet produce. And next up, we're giving out the WagerTalk College Basketball Guide. This might be the most informative collection of sports betting info we've ever produced. We're covering returning starters, offensive, defensive, and tempo rankings, recruiting rankings, head coaching info and background, and so much more. Even if you are the casual basketball fan, head over to the Ralph Michaels page and download this amazing guide for free.